演讲，那我请我中国的 team 花很多时间写一个中文版，昨天给到我，但是我一看就知道太难了，太难了。对，我一直讲英文，但是我们的中文版你还是可以用耳机听。对 ，So 谢谢。So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Internet of Things to start off with. And if you're like me, the more you try to learn about the Internet of Things, the more confusing it gets. You see a lot of big numbers like these, billions of connected devices, and a lot of charts like this, packed with information. You got the connected home, the connected car, the connected person, even the connected cow. And that's a real product, by the way. So it's kind of like the internet in the 1990s. Everybody agrees it's going to be huge, but it's hard to predict what form it's going to take and who are going to be the big losers, like this group here, and who are going to be the big winners, like this group here. Yet, the Internet of Things is really even weirder than the early web because at the same time as being really, really complex and vague, at the same time as being very vague, it's also incredibly complex. If you just take, for example, bus and connectivity standards, you've got I2C, I3C, SPI, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, MQTT, LoRa, 6LoWPAN, Weightless, Insteon, NIBIS, IEEE 4051, and that's just to name a few. Yet at the same time, we can't just dismiss the Internet of Things as a vague and confusing mishmash of stuff. In fact, I argue the opposite. I argue that we're entering a second machine age that will transform our world, and that we've barely begun to see the changes that are coming. In fact, I also argue that the complexity itself is an illusion. That you can boil all these confusing changes and advances down to two fundamental forces that are driving everything else. But first, before we talk about the second machine age, we have to agree on what is meant by the first machine age. And by machine age, I really should say first modern machine age. So I'm not going back to the Industrial Revolution or the invention of the steam engine or really primitive machines like that. Now what I'm talking about is when the machines that we see around us in our world today started to take on the recognizably modern forms. And I would argue that that year was 1945. That at the close of World War II, the machines we have in our world today had already taken on their modern forms. If you go back any earlier than 1945, you see machines that look like this. But by 1945, you start to see this, and this, and this, and the phone. Oh, sorry, the airplane, the jet plane, the phone, and even this, the first computer. So in a way, the world we have around us today is strangely old. Since World War II, we have no fundamentally new machines have been invented. We've not invented any new forms of energy or new forms of transportation, and not really any new methods of computation either. Yeah, sure, computers have relentlessly scaling up, but the fundamental model of computing hasn't changed. Thanks to Moore's law, our computing problems can be solved by applying more and more density and applying more and more power to the same basic von Neumann model of sequential computing. And here is John von Neumann here. And it was in 1945 that von Neumann wrote this paper for the US military, which describes the stored program computer. The same basic architecture still in use today. And since 1945, yeah, we've been speeding up our computers by faster clocks, deeper pipelines, superscalar architectures, and similar techniques to squeeze more power from the same basic model. And parallel processing was talked about a lot, but it never really happened. But still, everything seemed to be going along just fine. Until one little problem started to worry us. These words you see right here, they strike fear into the hearts of those of us who depend on semiconductors for a living, the idea that the party is coming to an end. But the good news is, it's not coming to an end. And in fact, the party has just begun. Because in the second machine age, Moore's law doesn't matter. That's right, Moore's law is a problem of the first machine age. It won't be a problem for the second. And why is that? One word. MapReduce. And this one's for Emily. MapReduce. I said there was two forces that were driving us into the second machine age, and this is the first one. The rise of distributed computing, which goes back to 2004 when Google published this paper. MapReduce and its open source version called Apache Hadoop. What it allows you to do is take a huge data set, like the entire internet, and process it on thousands or even millions of nodes, most of the mappers, and then take that output and send it to reducer nodes to give you the final result. Now why is that so important? Like, what's the big deal with that? Because the individual machines no longer need to be powerful. There just needs to be a lot of them. The individual machines don't even need to be reliable. In fact, they can fail regularly. And you move processing to the data. Like with a supercomputer, you have storage nodes and data nodes that are linked together by a high-capacity interconnect. But with MapReduce, however, you don't need faster and faster interconnect and faster storage. You move processing to the data. And there's another limitation you don't need to worry about, and that's the physical limitations of storage devices. Read heads can only move so fast, and platters can only spin so quickly. But with MapReduce, you don't need fast random access because a MapReduce job is pretty much just a long streaming operation, a sequential operation required that is already an order of magnitude faster than random access. So you don't run up against real limitations. And already you can see that processing clock rates are starting to level out, and so are transistor counts. But guess what? It doesn't matter. When you can get supercomputer performance from commodity hardware, when the number of computers matters more than the performance of any individual computer, Moore's law is no longer a constraint. So distributed computing, that's the first force driving us into the second machine age. And what's the second one? It's sensors. In fact, a better description for Internet of Things would be wireless sensor networks connected to the cloud. The second machine age is defined by cheap, ubiquitous sensors. And the technology that is enabling these sensors, these tiny devices that are actually silicon with moving parts, is MEMS. So what was the MapReduce moment for MEMS? Like, what was the single breakthrough that allowed these tiny machines to come into being and to be affordable to all of us? And it's down to the Bosch process, invented by Dr. Franz Lermer for deep reactive ion etching, which Bosch licensed to other companies. And DRIE allows you to etch deep trenches into silicon with incredible structural precision. And it works like this, which is a fancy way of saying it works. It does this. And thanks to DRIE, MEMS went from a pretty obscure technology to today, when a typical smartphone might have 15 different types of MEMS sensors. So, what can we expect from our new machines, the machines of the second machine age? And I think to answer that question, we have to ask ourselves, what was accomplished by the machines of the first machine age? Like these machines, what did these machines really do for us? Well, these machines gave us tremendous power. Power over our environment, power over each other. They gave us convenience, and they gave us basic security. In fact, in the early days of the first machine age, futurists at the time, like George Orwell, worried that we were heading towards a dark, totalitarian future. And in fact, our machines probably did come close to destroying us at one point, but in fact, even though the world today will no doubt face, the world in the future will no doubt face crises of various kinds, nobody seriously predicts another global conflict like the one that ended in 1945. The destructive power of those first era machines is so great, we never need to unleash it again. So the first and second machine ages will be very different from one another. Maybe one day there'll be a third machine age that will be similar in some ways to the first one. They'll bring us new forms of energy or new forms of transportation or maybe even power to create life itself. But the second machine age will be different. It will be an era that will bring us into intimate relationship with our machines in ways that augment human desires. So to perceive what these machines might be like, we need to ask ourselves, what are those desires? What are those human desires as yet unfilled that you can afford to have once your basic security is fairly assured. And here are a few big ones. Immortality, the desire that the body sustain its function indefinitely. Omniscience, the desire to possess all knowledge. Telepathy, the desire to inhabit the minds of others, to let others enter into our minds. Teleportation, I think somebody mentioned this much today. Teleportation, the desire to move around in different times and places unconstrained by physical boundaries. And at this point, we're just starting to see glimpses of how these desires might one day be fulfilled. And here are a few of those glimpses. So immortality, devices that monitor our health and compare our data to millions of other people bring us a little bit closer to that promise of life extension. All knowledge accessible to you, anywhere, anytime. Omniscience. Telepathy, the window that we now have into the lives of others and their stream of thoughts. And as you can see, the smartphone plays a central role in these systems, and it's really the first true product of the second machine age. Teleportation. Virtual reality devices like the Oculus Rift, and the one that our company makes, the Virtual Zombie. 我要停一下，帮我照一下。谢谢我们的产品。So that's my message today. It isn't distributed computing alone, or sensors alone, that are bringing us into the second machine age. It's both of them together. And I'm going to conclude with one more example to show how intimately our machines are starting to know us. And this company is using sensors to detect our emotional reactions to products that we see. You see that smile and that adoring expression? That's a 78. And here's a couple more. Okay, that's an 86, that's a 95. So whatever product these people are looking at is definitely a hit. And I want to thank all of you, and today was definitely a hit. I want to thank all of you for coming. And I'm going to end my presentation on a lighter note. We just saw how sensors can detect our emotions. Now what if one day they can predict our emotions too? And to explore that question, I've got a short and very funny video to show you, and with it I conclude my remarks. So 我要放一个视频，这个是很搞笑的，不是事实啊，这是幽默的。OK， 所以不要被吓到。OK， 谢谢各位，谢谢。